How to improve sales quickly. Hello, it's Thursday. It's me, John Butt. It's the Marketing for Owners podcast. It's an afternoon. It's noisy because the kids have just got home from school and it's a nice warm day. So I'm out in the garden. They're not in my garden, but you think they would be. Apparently, I've checked, in the UK we're still not allowed to shoot noisy kids. Someone email me, let me know if that's not true, but apparently we're not. So, sales. Very, very simply, most people who tell me what they would like to improve in their business usually start with sales. Most people want more sales, they want more to generate more income, because most people think that is the answer to increasing profits. It's not always, and quite often that is a symptom, not the problem. Quite often you could cut some huge amount of costs out, keep sales the same and make much more profit and have less headaches and all that kind of thing. So that's one for another podcast, I think. But I see this over and over and over and over and over again. It's quite frustrating. And just to clarify, when I'm talking about sales, I am not talking about your average car salesman or someone down the market who's saying, roll up, look at these pots and pans, best ones you've ever seen, or a car salesman trying to sell you a pup that you really don't want to buy. So I am talking of some basic salesmanship. So quite simply, a sale is asking someone if they'd like something in exchange for, say, money, and then taking the money and giving it to them. Or it could be taking an order or something like that. So the actual sales part. And the way, yes, John, get to the point. The way to increase it is to train people in how to sell. Now, I'm saying that very quickly. If you're reading this, it's still the same speed. But I'm saying it very quickly because I have to say that and let it sink in. Let me say it again. Have your staff trained in how to sell. It's as simple as that. So, like who, John? Who would that be? Well, anybody at all in your staff who has the opportunity to speak to a customer. So they may not actually even take orders. For example, a delivery driver. Your delivery driver is quite often the only person in the entire staff who physically meets eye to eye and speaks to customers for real in real life. So, why would you just assume that they're nice, they'll be all right, they can drive a van, they can drive a truck? Why would you assume that they can deal with a customer politely and they know how to handle objections? If your customer has some kind of complaint, some kind of issue, would you like your driver to say, sorry, Gov, not my department, I'll let someone know, get someone to call you if you want? Or would you like them to be able to handle that because they have training in how to deal with things? Sales is not always taking an order. Sales is quite often handling objectives and things like that. But if you train your people, they will feel more comfortable. They have had further investment in their future, so they appreciate their job and you a lot more. But they can then deal with customers in a much more professional manner. And of course, if they do have the opportunity for taking orders, they'll know how. So if that customer says, oh, I should have ordered 3, I've only ordered 2, that person wouldn't just say, nah, don't worry, mate, you should phone the office, sort that out, nothing to do with me. They may be able to suggest, well, are you sure you just want another one? If I'm going to come back, you may as well have another 3. And whilst you're at it, by the way, did you know this goes with that? And if you buy it now, it's on sale together. There you go. Now, other examples. If you are a restaurant, do you employ young kids who are students because you think that's the way to run a restaurant, by paying low wages to untrained people? Do you train them in restaurant stuff, like how to actually take an order, how to remember who ordered it from the table, stuff like that? But how about sales training? They are selling your product. If you can't see that, please don't get someone else to manage your restaurant. If you cannot see that your waiting staff, your serving staff are the ones that are selling your product, you need to step back, look at your business again. They are. So why would you not have them trained by a sales professional? Now, perhaps you have a store, a shop, perhaps you're a supermarket. You could be Walmart or Tesco's. Those people who sit on those tills scanning stuff through those barcodes are connecting with your customers. They are the last person quite often that your customer sees before they leave the store. They are the lasting memory, how they deal with that customer. Do you want them back? Remember what I've said before, you've made all that effort to get them here. You want them to buy again, don't you? So why don't you have the people who work on the tills trained in sales? So remember, they are not going to, if you're thinking, oh, I don't want them hassling the customers, trying to sell them everything, that's not what this is all about. This is about how to deal with clients and things like that. This is different. This is techniques in how to speak. It's just a general thing, but the salesmanship is the most important. If you have no customers, you have no business. I've said that before, I think. I'll probably say that again. So what about in an office? You could be lawyers, solicitors, and you're thinking, well, how does this apply to me? Well, who works on reception? Who answers the phone when people ring up? Now you're thinking, yeah, jolly, well, we can't have that. We can't have receptionists as a salesperson, because that's, of course, how all solicitors speak in the UK, possibly. But why not? They are taking orders. Do you think they're just going to pass people through? Do you think they're the least important person in your business because they're just the receptionist? They're not legally trained. They're not a lawyer. They're not a legal secretary, a legal assistant. Well, they are speaking to your customers. They are the point of contact. They need sales experience. So I think I'm banging the point there. So get that and do it. There are so few people when I go shopping that I come across that are trained in salesmanship that could do so much more. And if you think in the cost, oh gosh, they are there every single day, probably 5 days a week all year, and you probably have more than one person. Make the effort. Things would be dramatically different to your bottom line instantly, and the cost is repaid instantly, and the member of staff that you get trained thinks you're wonderful because you've improved their lot. Something to think about. But whilst you're thinking, it's Thursday, time for a Drive Time podcast, time for someone to listen to on the way to work, to inspire you to come up with those new ideas, and just to get you out of your general malaise on the way to work or on the way home. Today we're going to talk about the Solo Entrepreneur Show. Now, the gentleman who runs this, nice chap, his name is Michael O'Neill, and it's called Solopreneur Hour. Okay, Solopreneur Hour. If you hop on iTunes, you will find it. If you go to Google and pop in Solopreneur Hour podcast, you will find it. If you go to marketingforowners.com/podcast/419, you will find the links to it. Even easier, eh? And you'd find all the other details that I have spoken about today. That is, I'm not going to tell you more about the show. You can guess what it's about, but it's darn good. Oh, okay, let me read what he says. Because it's funny. I actually do want to read this. They say successful people put their pants on the same way we all do. This show is about watching them put their pants on. Now, for those of you in the UK, where we call trousers, so pants is American, referring to trousers, not referring to the underpants, because no, we shouldn't encourage people to watch people putting their underpants on. That's not good, okay? And people should be reported if they do such a thing. This, by the way, was nominated as the best new show of 2013 by Stitcher Radio. That is a really big deal. It's a good show. Recommend it. I'll be back tomorrow.